Hello my beautiful friends, and welcome back to our channel, and today's video on the consequences of trying to control something you can't. My name is Beck. I am a professional mindset coach with a background as a medical doctor. I liberate successful women from disempowering mindsets, namely perfectionism, imposter syndrome, and people pleasing, so they can show up in their lives proudly, expressing and asserting themselves aligned with their integrity. Superficially, I think this sounds like a simple thing that we all should be able to do. But instead, it's very common for successful people to be largely bound by all these rules and this sense of obligation about how they should be and what they should do, what the right thing is. And that can be in direct conflict with what we truly, authentically ourselves believe is the right thing for us and for our missions to create the most value and contribution that we can in our lives. If this sounds like something that you need in your life, you can jump on my waitlist. My one-on-one coaching is currently full, but soon I will be opening up my group coaching program, which will be full of women just like you, with the same mission of taking on the challenge of living a life with more integrity. So the internet is full of advice saying that we should just focus on what we can control and simply release what we can't. And while I actually completely agree with this concept, with this solution for so much of our anxiety, our stress, our suffering, particularly pertaining to the future, I wouldn't want anybody to think that it's just that simple, that this is a just do it situation. And instead, a lot of the work that we do in coaching is creating the awareness that we need to be able to implement these changes and building the skills in the process to actually be able to genuinely implement these changes in not only an effective way, but also in a sustainable way. Because it is that simple, but it's not that easy to execute on. And if we looked into your life, my life, any person's life, it doesn't matter how intelligent you are. There will be places where you're miscategorizing what's in your control versus what's not in your control, and you're not even aware of it. And as much as we can uncover the cases in which you're doing that, in the high yield places where you are having unnecessary consequences because of that, that is going to truly relieve so much of this anxiety, stress, and suffering in your day-to-day life. And you'll be surprised when you start to really examine yourself, really look into your life as to how often, how frequently you are making these errors in judgment about what is in your control and what is not in your control. So today I want to bring you a commonplace day in the life example of this that will help bring to your attention where you might be doing this in your day-to-day life, and importantly, the consequences of doing it so that you're actually motivated to make a change. So, situation. We are here in Madrid, and we're lucky to be in Sol Centro Madrid. It is an amazingly lively, bustling place, and we've got this apartment where we can open these big, beautiful doors, and all the sound comes in. You can constantly feel like you're just in it. And when tolerable, allow that heat to come into the space as well. With the heat, though, also comes some friends, some fly friends, because yes, I mean flies like animals, insects. And that's because my Australians, you guys will probably notice with me first, they don't do fly screens here in Madrid. So my partner and I are sitting here at the dining table, and there is this fly floating around us, doing its thing, buzz, 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 hello, I'm here, I'm a fly. And while my partner and I are sitting at the table, just, centimeters apart, experiencing essentially the same external reality, or as close to we could get, we were having very different internal realities in this situation. And that's because flies in general, are just one of those things that my partner does not tolerate. It is not okay. We all have these things that just annoy us. And that is one of those things for him. Whereas for me, this is not one of those things that prompts all of these difficult, challenging thoughts that create difficult, challenging emotions and then behavior reactions. It's not that I am more superior in my reactions here. It's that my partner had these thoughts that challenge you in this situation, and I was not challenged. I did not have to manage any thoughts, emotions, or behavioral reactions here. We all just have our things. But I want to use this stark contrast to offer you not only the consequences of trying to fight with reality and control what you can't, but also some of the underlying core thoughts that can trigger that, so that you can reflect on situations in your life where you might be holding these thoughts that aren't ultimately useful for you. And useful is also subjective. It depends on how you want to show up. If you want to be frustrated in that situation and you're super happy with that reaction, that's cool. You do you. But, for most people, if you could wave a magic wand and say, what would you like to feel in this situation? How would you like to show up? Most people wouldn't choose frustration. And so the reason that we are frustrated in the situation has more to do with the fact that we don't feel like we have a choice rather than us truly making a choice. So there are two core themes that I'd like to offer for you to look into if you find yourself feeling or reacting a certain way in a situation where you'd ideally like to be doing something else. So let's theoretically look into the minds of these two different humans and look at how we've come to these two different reactions. Specifically, and this is just theoretically, I didn't know my partner's thoughts, I want to focus on two different concepts here. One is starting with the thoughts of the person who is unaffected, or at least not negatively affected by the situation. Thoughts over here in this category start with first accepting reality or not arguing with reality. Byron Katie says when you argue with reality, you lose, but only 100% of the time. So over here, the first theme of thought is these are the facts of the situation. The fly is in the room. Now this is as opposed to arguing with reality with thoughts such as the fly shouldn't be in the room. It shouldn't be this way. Over here, you're meeting reality. The fly is in the room. Over here, you're fighting with reality. It shouldn't be this way. It is this way, and it shouldn't be this way. Now notice for you how those different thoughts affect you when you're in that situation. So that first theme is really about meeting reality, and the second theme is about the perception of what you can and can't control, the perception of what is in or not in your control. So over here, you might find thoughts like, I'm not able to control the fly. The fly will do what the fly does. Let's say I wanted to control the fly. I don't have the ninja skills to sweep the wind the right way or the speed to run around the room after it, doing my little commando rolls over the couch and dodging all of the beautiful, delicate things in this apartment that I rented. There is an acceptance of the lack of ability to control the situation. Now over here, you might find some thoughts that suggest that you can control the situation, that you do have the ability to skillfully guide the fly out the window, out into the beautiful open world again where he, she, or they belong. And yes, that is possible. There is some possibility that you can control the fly. And maybe you've got experiences of this in your life where you were the fly whisperer or super ninja and managed to make this happen. But for the purposes of this video, I want to accept that there is a 99.9% element of you not having control of the fly in this situation. Let's just call it 100% you don't have control of the fly. So when you're having that thought that you can control something, and you also have the thought that you want to control it, that this is the reality and you want to control it to be different, then you can see how these thoughts motivate you to take action towards controlling a situation that you have very little control over truly. You may even feel a sense of, I should control it, I should change it, I'm responsible for changing this situation. And notice the emotions that come with that line of thinking versus over here when you're thinking, I can't control the fly. So let's bring this all together. You have thoughts about reality and how it should be, and you have thoughts about what is in your control or not in your control. If these thoughts don't align with reality, i.e., if you think reality should be different to what it is, factually, literally right now, you will create suffering. And if you have thoughts that you can or should control something that you can't, you're also going to create suffering. And actions, behaviors, thinking processes that don't necessarily serve you in the world, that waste your time, your resources, and have your experience deteriorate in that moment when it could be otherwise quite pleasant or neutral. So my beautiful friends, to bring this back into some arguably more high yield areas of our lives, I would like you to think about what your thoughts are about how much control you have of other people. Common mistakes I see us make, the most intelligent of intelligent people make, is the thought error, the idea that A, we can control other people, and B, that we should control other people. When we believe that we can control other people and we should control other people, we are going to try to control something that we can't. And yes, we of course have an ability to influence other people if we have the ability to influence their thoughts. But to become frustrated, disappointed, defeated, overwhelmed, or even to feel guilty or shameful that you're not controlling another person. And I'm using that word in a funny way, but let me give you some examples. Changing how somebody feels. Somebody feeling sad and you thinking that it's your responsibility to make them happy. Changing somebody else's opinion, thinking that they have a wrong opinion or an opinion that's harming somebody or something else, and thinking that you can and should change that opinion. Thinking that somebody shouldn't be behaving how they're behaving and taking it upon yourself to change that behavior on their behalf. Having someone not like you, believing that's not okay, that's not acceptable, and that you can change their opinion and that you should change their opinion to make them like you. These are all commonplace situations in our lives where we're not particularly conscious of the fact that we believe that we can and should control something we can't. Other people, their thoughts, their emotions, their behaviors. So I'll pose the question to you guys. Where are you taking responsibility to control other people in your life? What they think, what they feel, what they do, without the acknowledgement that that is A, not your responsibility, but B, also not in your control. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't do things in the world in order to positively influence people, in order to change the world and everything that's not in our control. It's not to say that we don't do what is in our control to change the world and make it a better place or live into our values, and as much as that involves other people. But I want you to be more careful in discerning places in your life where you're trying to control something that you can't. And to be motivated to stop doing that, you A, need to see the futility in that, and B, the consequences that that has for you. My beautiful friends, if you know this is the kind of work that you need in your life and you want to take further, you want to start to live into it, then jump on my coaching waitlist. You'll be the first to hear about when one-on-one consult opportunities come up, and all the opportunities that come with my group coaching program. I cannot wait to meet you. It's always such a pleasure to hear your different perspectives and to be connected with people like you who are open-minded and want to live into their true selves in this world. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one.